Blah 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 blah. Hello people and welcome to another edition of Life According to the Gnome, and I am the Gnome, and today we're going to be talking about salaries and the way that people bemoan the amount of money that politicians earn, yet are quite happy to go and pay £1,014 a year to go and watch Arsenal or any other football club for that matter. So let's just start with a couple of basic facts, okay, when we're talking about people's salaries. And I am going to aim this at sports people because I think they earn stupid amounts of money. Wayne Rooney earns £37,142 per day. A B5 nurse, which is a staff nurse, the ones that look after you in hospital, get £21,909,000 a year. So Wayne Rooney earns almost double the amount that a nurse does in a year within 2 days. Within a day. So one day, 37,000. A nurse earns 21,000 a year. Now, if we go to the other end of the scale, the high end of the scale with football, Carlos Tevez earns an eye-watering £87,857 per day. Our nurses earn £60 a day. So Tevez earns 4 times the amount in a day than a staff nurse does in a year. Okay, so you think that your football clubs are sacred. Well, I'm sorry, they're not. Now, I love football, but I hate the way the game is going. Okay, now let's just go on to this politician thing, because normally when people are moaning, they are moaning about people like Theresa May. I'm not a lover of Theresa May. I think she's terribly weak, and this whole Brexit thing is getting on my nerves. I wish she'd just get on with it. It's ridiculous. We don't even have to do Article 50, but that's for another day. The Prime Minister earns £143,462 a year. Okay? A school headmaster earns £7,000 more a year. So he earns, or she earns, 150k on average. And that's a state school. This isn't, a high-end university. This is a state school headmaster. State school headmaster earns more than our Prime Minister. Yet all I hear from mainly the left is we should pay our teachers more money, but we shouldn't pay our politicians any money. As I say, I don't particularly like politicians, but you have to put this into perspective. Okay, let's wind our way back to football again. And we're talking about the way I think that a lot of people support football, and I think it's two-faced. An Arsenal football shirt will cost you £60, or it will cost you £76 if you want your name or one of their names on the back of it. But you're quite happy to pay that. Liverpool, they charge £50, which isn't so bad, but £60 if you want your name on the back or one of their players' names on the back. Both Premiership clubs. Let's wheedle our way down. We'll go down now to League 2, and my team, Luton Town. You can get a shirt from Luton Town for £40 or £47 with your name on the back. This is where I have the issue. Arsenal are going to sell a hell of a lot more shirts than Luton Town will, yet their price is a third more expensive. That's where the greed is. It's not with the politicians, it's with the people who run sports, or a lot of the sports. F1 is no better. The cheapest entry ticket for Silverstone in 2017 will be £145. That's for one day. That's on the Sunday race day. £145 for that day, and you have to bring your own deck chair, and you're not undercover. You have to basically sit on a grass verge. I mean, come on, people. Now let's talk about ticket prices for football. Chelsea, the cheapest match day ticket at Chelsea is £52, and for that you sit in an uncomfortable plastic seat for around 2 hours, but an hour and a half of football, watching a load of overpaid prima donnas falling over and whining every time they're touched. So that's about all I really need to say on it, I think. We will touch. Actually, we will also touch on the way that I think money has actually ruined the sport. Football and F1. So just to recap, when you're moaning about the Prime Minister, just have a little think about, she works 7 days a week pretty much, okay, and they work long hours, and she gets 143k. You have someone like Carlos Tevez, who earns 32 million a year. 32 million a year for playing maybe 2 games a week, if that, or he can sit on the bench if he can't be asked to play football and still get paid that money. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so now why I think money's ruined football. Sky Sports has taken over football and BT get the crumbs. Okay, now I can't afford £101 a month to watch football and F1 on the television. Okay, people do pay it, and I don't understand why they pay it. Or they'll go to the pub, which is fine, nice sociable thing to do. But from 2018, you will not be able to watch live Formula 1 unless you have a subscription. So it will no longer be on terrestrial telly at all. I mean, we lost it a couple of years ago because the BBC sold it, and they only had every other race, and now Channel 4 has got it, and they've only got every other race, and now from 2018 they won't have any race. So they're putting a paywall around F1. They're throwing loads of money into F1, so the TV companies, getting exclusivity on it. Yet the sport is in the death knell because F1 has become ridiculous. It's become dumbed down. We have buttons for the cars to overtake each other. We had stupid hybrid engine rules where one manufacturer, Mercedes-Benz, are so far ahead of the rest of the field. Basically, whatever race you watch, you know that a Mercedes will win that race. It would be either be Nico Rosberg or Lewis Hamilton. Well, it won't be Nico next year because he's retired. So you can see how much of a farce sport has become. It's the same with football. When you think of someone like, let's say, for instance, Wayne Rooney was signed for Manchester United. No, let's go different. Let's say Wayne Rooney decided to leave for Aston Villa, my other club. Okay, and Aston Villa paid him £50 million, or paid Man United £50 million to have him on a 2-year contract. Now, if Aston Villa see through his contract for the 2 years, at the end of that 2 years, they can't get a fee for him. Basically, they've hired him for 2 years. They haven't bought him. It's a transfer fee. It's a fee. Okay, it's obscene. Now, so that would think, if say in a year down the road of that contract, Aston Villa think, oh, he's been doing really well, we'll sell him for profit, and they want to sell him for 60 million. Well, if Wayne Rooney didn't want to leave, he can see out his contract, or Aston Villa would have to buy out his contract. So basically, player wins every time. But let's say now Tottenham decided they wanted to buy Wayne Rooney off of Aston Villa for the 60 million. Now, they might say to Wayne Rooney, well, if you see out the rest of the season, because this is your last season with Aston Villa, then we won't have to pay Aston Villa a massive transfer fee because you're not being transferred, you're on a free. Then we'll give you a percentage of that money instead. So you'll get, say, we'll give you 40 million. So the player wins again. A player can't be sacked. The team will have to pay out your contract because you're on a contract. This is absolutely ridiculous. So not only do football players get overpaid in the first place, they are also so protected, it's untrue. You show me any normal, everyday worker that has that kind of protection. And it's wrong anyway, because I think that if you are bad at your job, you should be able to be sacked. I know it's a problem from my own personal experience running small businesses, that if I have someone who comes in and they're rubbish and they turn out to be, just not suitable, it's very, very, very hard for me to sack them. But eventually I would be able to get rid of them. But they won't get any payout, because if they're rubbish, they're rubbish. But in football, you will get a payout if you're rubbish. So this is where you need to keep the perspective when we're moaning about who earns what. I think that people who start their own businesses, let's take this for another example. Imagine if I decided I want to put all my money into starting up a brand new design business. Okay, that means I would have to put everything that I've got at risk. Okay, and then it works well, I start employing people, and in 10 years' time I become the next Saatchi and Saatchi, and I'm on £200,000 a year. Okay, now a lot of people say, well, that's disgusting that you're on £200,000 a year and your workers are only on £35,000 a year. How dare you do that? Well, let me tell you something. Those workers did not put their house at risk. They did not put their lifestyle at risk. They did not put everything they had at risk to start their own business. So it's none of their business how much the man who took all that risk is earning. I think they deserve that money. to a degree. I think there are obscenities in it as well, but if you have done all that hard work and put everything at risk to start your own business, then I don't see why you should be held to ransom by the people that work for you. I think it's wrong. I think the whole socialist policy is wrong, and it's spilled over into everything, and nothing is fair anymore. Whatever you do, make it as fair as you can. It will still be unfair in the lefties' eyes. So I'm going to leave that with you as a final thought, and if you liked this, then it'd be good if you could subscribe. If you don't like it, or you want to stick up for all this, or you want to have a good old moan about Top Cat's earnings, and you want to slate me, do it. There's comments below. Do it. I love it. Call me what you like. As I always say, a label means absolutely nothing to me because I am them all by all accounts. Also, follow me on Twitter, where I'm a bit of a naughty boy, bit of a keyboard warrior, but I do mean it. I'm not a stupid keyboard warrior. Let's get it straight. I will just say it how I see it. And that's a cool thing. I think everyone should just start saying it how they see it again. Be a much better place rather than tiptoeing around wondering if someone's going to call you a label. Bye!